Welcome back to the Rosters Cut Day Show, preseason week 2. The Dallas Cowboys have 4 receivers contending for the final 2 spots. CeeDee Lamb and Dez Bryant have been incredible in the preseason, leaving Miles Austin as the odd man out. 160 yards for Bryant, 132 yards for Lamb. Incredible preseason for both. Meanwhile, here's a look at the Bills receiver room. James Lofton against Lee Evans. The winner is the 6th and final receiver on the Buffalo roster, and Lofton has the huge advantage over Evans right now. Only one quarterback was released in the opening rounds of cuts, and that is Ryan Tannehill. George Blanda beat him out after going 9 of 15 for 88 yards and a touchdown in the opener against Minnesota. That's all the coaches needed to see for Blanda to win the third-string job. Big day for Joey Bosa in a win at Dallas, and that performance was enough to send Corey Liuget packing as he earns the final defensive end spot on the Chargers roster behind Fred Dean and Leslie O'Neal. Sam Shields joins the chopping block in Green Bay. The Packers secondary had 4 interceptions. Shields, meanwhile, with none of them, and really didn't shine in many ways against the great players on that Packer cornerback room. Incredible battle at wide receiver for the Packers as Greg Jennings and Donald Driver fight for the 6th and final position. While Jennings has more yards, Driver reeled in the game-winning touchdown last week against Arizona. Not much of a competition at tight end for Philadelphia. Zach Ertz edging Charlie Young, who did not have a single catch or target in the 2 preseason games. Ertz, the 3rd tight end for Philly. Lewis Lips ran wild in the opener at Washington, but had a setback the next week against Philly with just 2 catches and a lost fumble. And now his grip on the 5th string is much looser now and still could get cut with Holmes and Wallace behind him at receiver. Another tight battle at quarterback in Baltimore between Lamar Jackson and Joe Flacco. Jackson, the former league MVP, was outdueled in the opener against Philadelphia, but bounced back in a big way in Week 2 against Kansas City. And in just 3 quarters, Jackson has racked up 185 yards from scrimmage and is the narrow leader after 2 weeks over Flacco at the quarterback position. Nothing to rave about at quarterback in Chicago. Cutler is currently the number 2, but he played bad enough to get cut against the Giants. Jim McMahon and Harbaugh still vying for the position after Cutler commits 3 turnovers in the second half and has a quarterback rating of 6 in the preseason. Meanwhile, Tim Jennings secures the 5th and final cornerback position in Chicago, defeating Nathan Vasher. 6 tackles with an interception and pass deflection in 2 preseason games for Jennings. The Bears' cornerback room is a little thin, but Jennings good enough for that final spot. Who knows if Melvin Gordon would have ever been good enough for the final running back spot for San Diego, as he never saw the field. Chuck Muncie earned all the workload in the 2 preseason games, while Melvin Gordon watched his winner earn the spot on the sidelines. Tough break for Gordon. Final wide receiver position in the air for Detroit between Cloyce Box and Roy Williams. In the 2 overtime games, Cloyce Box shined, helping guide game-winning drives. 7 receptions for 83 yards for the winner at the 6th spot, Cloyce Box. Loaded tailback room in Oakland, Mark Van Egan, the odd man out. Raiders running backs are Marcus Allen, Bo Jackson, Josh Jacobs, and Clem Daniels. Every all-time franchise trimmed their roster from 60 to 58 today. Here's a look at the complete list of cuts. The Browns chose Greg Pruitt over Kevin Mack. I found that to be pretty interesting at the running back spot for Cleveland, led of course by Jim Brown. In our next group of cuts, the San Francisco 49ers are loaded with talent all the way around. Keena Turner and Eric Davis are great players, but not good enough to make the final 53. And here's a look at the final 10 teams and their roster decisions through Week 2 of the preseason. Teams will trim their rosters from 58 to 55 next week. Join us for that Cut Day show then. This is the All-Time Rosters franchise with Charger Dude 95.